Thanks everyone for joining us this morning. We're going to go ahead and get started in about 1 minute. All right, thanks so much everyone for joining us today. We're excited to be here with you to talk about our consumer seminar program. I'm Chelsea Treseder with Pivot Hearing, and I'm joined by Adam Jasa and Bill Dials from our team as well. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that if you have any questions during the presentation, you can use the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom interface. Go ahead and type those out and we will get to them at the end. And with that, I will hand it over to Adam.
Great, good morning, everybody. So we're gonna show you all how to drive new patients with a consumer seminar. So a program overview, Pivot Hearing has developed a unique, complete consumer seminar package that delivers new patient intakes and revenue to practices across the country. And just like a definition for our consumer seminar, which we've also called an expo or a lunch and learn, it's an event centered around an educational presentation where people can get information and ask questions in a low pressure setting with the goal of scheduling an appointment at the hearing care practice to address their hearing loss. So why do consumer seminars? One question I have to you is, like, if you do a seminar, you end up having, say, 30 or 40 people in that room, and they're all potential new patients. Why haven't those people already been in your office? So I think it's really because the seminar is like an easy way for consumers to take that first step toward treating their hearing loss, and an easy way for the practice to build that trust. So, you know, there's people who know maybe they have a hearing issue, maybe a loved one has a hearing issue, but they haven't actually called the office to make that appointment. So they see the marketing around a seminar like this and they think, okay, well, that's probably a pretty good idea. I can go there and learn a little bit, ask some questions, but I'm not, committing to anything. So I think that's like a huge part of it. The seminar is a competitive differentiator for your practice, as most likely your competitors are not doing these, or they're not doing them well. So I think this is like really an important point, especially right now, where it seems like a lot of practices are not doing consumer seminars. And I have a feeling that probably does have to do with COVID. But it's a really good opportunity for you to kind of take the lead on that. And if you're in an area where your competitor is doing it, I can guarantee they're not doing it in the way that we're going to present to you today. So it's a compelling educational message on why hearing loss should be addressed. And it positions your practice as the thought leader in your area to enhance your image, brand, and reputation. So I'll show you some of the marketing on this in a little bit. But when you compare this educational message to a lot of the stuff that's probably floating around your market, just kind of like typical sales offers and things like that from competition, I think that's really is going to separate your practice and kind of elevate your whole brand. It's the only direct mail message that we have found to be consistently effective. So for anybody who's done direct mail over the years, I'm sure you've seen kind of diminishing results over time. And we've been doing direct mail for these seminars for many, many years, and it does consistently, produce effective results. So that's always been kind of a constant, where other direct mail messages have really become less effective. This gives you the opportunity to introduce the hearing aid test drive as a no pressure, take your time approach. So this is another thing that we developed, which we kind of formalized the way we fit hearing aids in our practice. And then we created a whole program around it that I would say the vast majority of our members utilize. And it includes a lot of kind of fresh marketing content also. So in the presentation, you're able to talk about new technology from various manufacturers while highlighting your practice independence. Being an independent private practice, I know it's like one of our unique value propositions, and all of our members would share that. So in the presentation, you're able to make the key point that you work with different brands and that allows you to help find the patient the right hearing aid for them. Whereas if you compare it to like a manufacturer seminar, they're going to talk about just one specific option. It doesn't mean though that we don't work with the manufacturer. So we do have an upgrade offer that Bill's going to kind of go over, where it really helps get those people to schedule the appointments at the end of the seminar. And this is a upgrade offer that is sponsored by the manufacturer, and that's an agreement with Pivot Hearing specifically for these consumer seminars. So the practice doesn't have to cover that cost. It's an opportunity to create and polish your presentation for the seminar and future seminars and other community events. So if you don't have like a presentation ready to go, this is a great excuse to not only run a campaign and get new patients, but to have a nice piece of content to utilize for future opportunities. And we've created different variations of this program to make consumer seminars doable for pretty much any practice in any market. And this is a proven package with execution and support from Pivot Hearing. We can help you with this from start to finish. I don't think anybody has quite as much experience as we do in this area. And we've done, we've helped support over 110 seminars to date with practices all over North America. So one of the first things we do is we share a checklist with you. And this is just how we're going to keep track of all the details in regards to the venue, the marketing, presentation, all the supplies you'll need for the day of, and how to communicate to the manufacturers after the seminar. We'll also do a more in-depth marketing plan with all the key components on how we're going to drive as many RSVPs to this event as possible. So as far as selecting the venue, this is a really important decision, of course. We've helped practices run these at all different kinds of places. Restaurants are really popular, hotel and community banquet halls, senior centers, assisted living centers, retirement communities, conference rooms like in the offices, and even in your fitting room. So the pictures you see here, this is where we ran a seminar 2 weeks ago. And this is like a golf course restaurant. They tend to kind of be our favorite place, type of place to run these seminars. Direct mail postcards, as I said, this is like a huge kind of component of the marketing side of it. So these are just a little bit larger than standard postcards. On the back, it has bullet points, which goes into what people can expect as far as the content of the seminar. You'll notice right under that RSVP, it says, leave your checkbook at home. Nothing will be sold during this educational seminar. So I think this really just helps people understand that, if they go to this, they're not going to be like hard sold anything. It's really just about getting information. Newspaper ads are great to run if it's doable in your area. So these ads are just kind of what you just saw on that postcard repackaged. And the one on the right, this is an ad for 2 seminars we did recently 2 weeks ago. And if you're in a situation where you cover a couple different areas, you can run back-to-back seminars. But if you have a newspaper that covers the whole area, then it's a really good way to get like a 2-for-1 on your marketing. So that's an opportunity you'd want to take advantage of if it makes sense in your area. Facebook ads are another good option. These are our favorite style of ads, which is the lead ad. So people would see ads similar to this in their Facebook feed, and then they click on sign up. It's going to go to a lead form, which populates their information. And then you get that information in an email, so you can call them and confirm that RSVP. So these are like a great addition to the traditional marketing. But if you're going to do like an in-person seminar, the traditional marketing works the best as far as getting new patients. These Facebook ads are just a nice kind of add to it, but you wouldn't want to rely completely on this to get a bunch of RSVPs. So the flip side is the digital ads are going to be cheaper. So always a good thing to kind of add in. And then doing a website pop-up is like basically free and really easy, effective idea. So people would click on this when they visit the website, and then they would be referred to this landing page and be able to sign up for the seminar. And then as far as like tracking everything and making sure that attendance rate is as high as possible, we have you totally covered for that, with kind of the RSVP sheet and how to manage all of that. Other options, we've done these on Zoom. So this kind of grew out of COVID restrictions, which made like the in-person seminars illegal for a time. So we started doing these May of 2020, and we have about 40 under our belt. And this is a great option if maybe you don't want to do a full in-person seminar. So the way we advertise these is also with the pop-up on the website, Facebook ads for sure on these. This is just a screenshot from like an email blast that we do out to your patient list. And then everybody gets directed to this registration page. So the Zoom webinars we found are better when you're kind of working your patient list, trying to engage people who haven't been in a while, tested not sold, things of that nature. It is much harder to get those new patients on this digital format. So kind of keep that in mind. And then another option is doing a seminar in office. So the postcard, very similar to the one you saw before, but it doesn't have a venue and a date on it. So we send these out, and essentially if people are interested, they call in, and then you would schedule an appointment for them. And typically the way audiologists and dispensers are doing these campaigns and programs is when people come into the appointment, they'll do a bit of an abbreviated seminar, and it's much more interactive because the person's right there, it can ask questions. So a lot of times people will end up doing the hearing test and actually fitting hearing aids, hopefully, at that same appointment. So as far as performance data, really good performance. Average we get 38 people RSVPing, 90% attendance rate, 41% of those attendees actually scheduling appointments. So the campaigns can be very effective. Average ROI when it's all said and done of over $14,000 per seminar. And then I had to add in just some like highest performer bullet points. So we've had events up to 87 RSVPs. If you end up getting an event that's really, popular like this, I don't really recommend doing an event of that many people. It's better to split that up into half. Around 40 per is better to kind of manage those people. We've had events where everybody has shown up. 75% of those people all scheduled appointments, and campaigns where 100% of the appointments from the seminar converted, and very high ROI up to $60,000 per event. So fantastic numbers. Okay, so now I am going to turn it over to Bill so he can kind of go into the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Adam. All right, so I'm just going to run through the slides and just give you a quick, a speed presentation here, so you get an idea of what it's about. So this was actually the slide from the one Adam was talking about we did a couple weeks ago. So we usually just have this up on the screen as people are coming into the room. And so, yeah. So this is my story where my grandfather started in the business in 1934. And so we have quite a family history, but this would be the place where you would put the particulars about maybe why you got into the field of audiology and hearing aids. But this is kind of my story where we ended up in California, and our family's been in the industry for 88 years. And so that's the story I tell as we get started here, and how my kids have gotten involved. But this would be a place to kind of feature your business and where you're located and why you do what you do. So then we get right into identifying the issues with people. Say, are you having trouble? Ask the crowd, are you having trouble hearing in noisy restaurants? They raise their hand, yes. Do you have any small children in your life? And this is my opportunity to show off some of my grandkids here. We say, are you noticing hearing problems, like asking people to repeat? And I like to ask the crowd, how many times can you ask someone to repeat? And it's kind of funny because they all throw out different answers. And we say, yeah, like twice, because by the third time, right, it's getting kind of awkward. And so what do we do when we don't get it? We fake it, right? And that gets us in trouble. And I throw up this meme for them, try and make it kind of light and get the crowd laughing. I ask if the TV is too loud. Are they noticing, misunderstandings, problems in relationships? So this portion of the talk, we get right into kind of identifying why they're in the room, why they've come to this event. And I say, it seems like people are mumbling. And then I show this. A lot of you people may know Heath. He's with Phonak now, but the Australian friend of ours. He was with Unitron at the time, and I show this voicemail I got and how even my technology couldn't understand his accent. So I'm making the point that some people do mumble. And we've been touching on masks, but hopefully this will be going away. But all of our patients are frustrated with masks. So then we talk about progression of hearing loss. You're straining to hear, you're faking it, getting embarrassed and maybe starting to withdraw from activities, becoming isolated. And this is where I address the issue that most people wait 7 years before they do something about their hearing. Okay, so that's the section on just identifying some problems and getting the people in the room to kind of talk about why they're there. So then we do a quick anatomy lesson, all right, and showing damaged hair cells resulting in a high frequency hearing loss. And this little example, visual example of what it's like when you're getting the consonants and no vowels. And I ask everyone in the room, can you make out that top word? And they all say newspaper. Now we have the vowels without the consonants. Any guesses? And it's much more difficult. So that's a visual representation of not getting consonants, high frequency consonants. So I make the point that when you come into our offices, we diagnose what's going on with your ears, but then I make the point that we hear with our brain. Okay, so we talk about that. This is an exercise we jump into, and I have everyone in the room. I'm going to put a word up on the screen, and I want everyone to say the word out loud as soon as you see it. All right, so I run through these. Everybody's spot on. Okay, then I run another list, and this is kind of funny. As you go through this list, you start to hear the room really kind of break down. Buckle, buckle, stole, so, coast, stole, stones. It's a funny exercise to do when you've got 30 or 40 people in the room. So then I make the point that that was a lot more difficult. You had to use another part of your brain. So this was a study that was done in the University of Colorado on brain, and this researcher would put her subjects in an MRI, give them certain tasks to see which part of the brain lights up. So she'd give them a vision task, the occipital lobe lights up. Give them a hearing task, the temporal lobe lights up, and then she takes people with hearing loss, gives them a listening task, and the prefrontal cortex lights up. This is really a powerful slide. So this is what's happening, when you have untreated hearing loss. You're having to use that thinking part of your brain just to understand what's being said to you. And they really can relate to this. And I talk a little bit about the research that's done on hearing aids showing the dilation of the pupils, so we can measure how much effort is being used. So we're talking a lot about effort, how much you have to put in to get through your normal day. So this is where we go into hearing care being health care, and how untreated hearing loss relates to a more rapid cognitive decline, and how there are lots of studies out there correlating untreated hearing loss and a more rapid cognitive decline. And for the 3 reasons, one being a cognitive overload, like we just talked about. I talk about brain tissue, brain cells shrinking as we age, so how important it is to keep all parts of our brain active. And finally, social activities that we're not doing anymore, right? So as we become more withdrawn, so we touch on all these, and I talk about this study from the Lancet Commission, 9 ways to reduce our risk for dementia. And it's pretty interesting that hearing loss is on the top of the list of things we need to decrease. So to summarize this portion of the talk, I go through these again. You've got a distorted signal causing a higher cognitive load. We have brain structure changing, changes in social behavior, and this how important it is to be hearing for our overall health. So that's the portion on the brain. So I asked the crowd, I say, why is it that people wait 7 years? And this is where I like to engage the crowd. Give me some reasons. Oh, vanity, denial, cost. Maybe you're afraid hearing aids don't work. Well, I show them this study that was done at the University of Michigan, where consumers were asked to rate how satisfied they are with certain products. And hearing aids came at 81%. So, and this was probably 6 years ago. So they're usually pretty impressed that hearing aids do work, but it's not like an eye test where we all agree you can go have your eyes examined, take your prescription anywhere, and you're going to get pretty much the same lenses, right? Not so with hearing aids. It's really confusing. So I like this slide. I just kind of let this roll. We're hitting things head on. Costco. I said, where does a consumer go? How do you know how to take that first step? Do you talk to your doctor? Do you go online? Or maybe you just need something for your TV. So I let that roll. And then I was thinking about all the different manufacturers that I can remember over the last 30 or 40 years. And I came up with all these logos, and I say to the audience, these are 30 or so choices. How do you know what's the best solution for you and your brain? But now we're down to 6. So these 6 manufacturers make up 95% of all hearing aids. And the thing is, they're always leapfrogging each other because these 6 manufacturers, they're all good. And they're kind of in a race with each other to come up with the next best thing. So it's really important to be going to a clinic that's independent so they can choose the right product for you. So that's where the hearing aid test drive comes in. We talk about really testing a few of these technologies before making this big purchasing decision. So then I just go into real quickly the 6 manufacturers. This is the Sonova, the Phonak, and the Unitron. I talk about how the hearing aid recognizes 7 different environments. And here's an example of one of our clients with permission, his noisy environment that he's in. And so that's what that hearing aid does. And then I talk a little bit about Oticon with the Open Sound Navigator, and how new chips come along about every 5 years. Something really, there seems to be a pretty good breakthrough. I mentioned the Oticon more. And then we talk about Widex a little bit, more input coming into the microphone. They've got a new product moment. You guys know, you talk about the products you want to talk about. Pure Sound, mentioned that. With Resound, I like to talk about how they were first to iPhone connectivity. They're really solid with their connections, with technology. Signia, Own Voice. This would be just, you'd pick your manufacturers to focus on, perhaps that you're more comfortable talking about. Signia with their nice case designs. Starkey, I like to touch on how good they are at their custom products and rechargeable in the ears. So that's, I take a little longer, but I don't dwell on those technologies as I go through them. I just want to give the audience the idea that there are lots of choices, and it's important to really check things out rather than just taking someone's word for it on the first visit. So we talk about iPhone compatibility, and I usually have a show of hands how many have iPhones, and how we're now able to connect to any phone and lots of different devices. So technology's moved forward into Android, and we fit lyrics in our practice. So we'll touch on that with a few slides. The features that we have now with GPS, and I like to talk about TV connections. And then I discuss the reason these hearing aids are also good is because they're now communicating with each other. And this really helps with the questions you get from the audience, like, what about over-the-counter hearing aids? And once they've seen this technology and how these hearing aids are working as a system for your brain, that really helps to address the over-the-counter stuff. So talk about everything's rechargeable, and then I ask the question, okay, so who has the best hearing aid? Kind of a trick question. You have the best hearing aid. Your brain is doing all the work. We need to make sure you're getting the optimal solution. So here's, as we wind down here, here's what I say. Look, these manufacturers know that we do these seminars, and they would really like to get involved. And we could have had a representative from Phonak or Oticon or someone here today, and you would have learned a lot more about that particular product. But we really wanted you to know that there's no one manufacturer that works for everybody. So we wanted to give you an overview. And so I've come to each manufacturer and said, if you want to participate, why don't you make an offer? And all 6 of these manufacturers have agreed that anyone who makes an appointment today to take a test drive will be eligible for a 1 technology upgrade. So I use this slide to kind of give them an idea of what that means, but we just make it on the premium side. If you end up with a premium hearing aid, you're going to end up with paying for the advance. It's about $1,000 savings. So this is really important, but this is the key slide that gets them to make appointments. So we have to get you on the books. We're going to turn your name into these companies so they know you were here today. And then at the end of your test drive, you're not committing to purchasing hearing aids today. You're just taking a test drive. At the end of the test drive, you're eligible for the upgrade. So that's it. Then I like to use this slide that we can only do something about 2 of our senses, right? Our vision and our hearing. So this is a good opportunity to improve your life, and I hope you'll take advantage of the offer that these manufacturers have made. Schedule your test drive, and that's a quick run through. Then we take questions from the audience. And what I like to do is the questions are coming in, I kind of advance the slide, then I put this back up again just to remind them of this offer. And then maybe as we're starting to wind down in the question and answer, I'll just throw up our locations again or remind them that we have different options for them. So that's the seminar. And I think I'll turn it back over to Chelsea for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. So if you have a question and you haven't asked it yet, go ahead and throw that in the Q&A section now. But I just wanted to wrap up before we do that and share our philosophy here at Pivot, which is that when private practices put patient care and experience at the center and build fortified business models around that, they will succeed, no matter the challenges that arise. When you start with patient care, business results will follow. I also want to read our mission statement, which is Pivot Hearing stands with private practices because we believe they provide the best patient care, and it is our vision to successfully fortify those private practices to thrive in their local markets. The key to your success now and in the future is to develop and communicate compelling reasons why patients should choose you over other competitive alternatives in the market, which I think this presentation that Bill shared today definitely does well. So Pivot Hearing develops impactful, forward-thinking, real-world tools to help private practices compete. And this consumer seminar program is just one of the many examples of that. So up here on the screen, you'll see that we offer practice development services in 3 major categories. Offense, which are the ways we help you acquire new patients. Defense, which are the ways we help you nurture and engage your existing patient database, as well as defend against any and all competitive threats. And then coaching, which are all the other practice management support services that we deliver to you and your team. As fellow practice owners and seasoned consultants, nobody offers better thinking around what it's going to take for private practices to succeed in the near, medium, and long term. Nobody executes as quickly on the database decisions that we help you make, so things get done well, quickly, and move your business forward. The beautiful thing about our model is that working with Pivot Hearing likely won't cost you anything, and it may even save you money. We offer extremely competitive hearing aid pricing. You retain manufacturer perks and benefits that you already have, and there are no contracts, commitments, or minimums. And you've got a team like this executing on your behalf to help move your business forward. So we love the chance to get to know you and your practice a little bit better to see if we can support you. So if you're interested, you can visit pivothearing.com, and there are plenty of ways to schedule a consultation or reach out to our team that way. So I'm going to see if we have any questions here. Okay, Adam, this is a question for you. Someone's asking for more information around the direct mail campaigns, wondering if the results vary based on the mail house used, or the option to use a manufacturer for the direct mail, local printing company, national groups. Do you have any recommendations?
Definitely. I would say get in touch with us and we can schedule a call to go over all of it. We have our preferred vendor for the direct mail. They tend to pull lists, which are very reliable. We have filters which have been tested, which we'd want to use. The price is really going to be affordable and comparable to anybody else you might use. And a lot of times we use manufacturer co-ops in the marketing. So essentially we show you kind of what to add. Like, for example, if you're going to have Oticon share in the cost, we would just have a very small little, new technology, including Oticon More on the postcard, which doesn't really affect the messaging at all, but then allows you to get those co-op dollars. So yeah, get in touch with us and we can kind of figure out the best plan to do it.
Thanks, Adam. Another question here about how far out you suggest sending the mail. And I know we have some strong opinions on that, so I'm going to share that.
How far out?
Like how far in advance of the event, I think is the question. Like, when do you want the mail to arrive, ideally?
Yeah, usually 7 to 10 days before is good.
Awesome. Okay, thanks. That is all the questions I have. So if anyone wants to drop one in right now, feel free. Otherwise, yeah, pivothearing.com, lots of information about us and what we do, lots of ways to get in touch with us. So want to thank everyone for attending today and look forward to hopefully talking to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
Take care.
everybody.
Thank you.